Let me first say that, as I've said before, our hearts and our thoughts and our prayers and deepest condolences continue to be expressed to the parents and family, friends of Michael Brown in Ferguson. As a citizen, as a parent, as a guy who grew up in the neighborhood and understands at times the challenges of community life, think back in many instances to my own childhood and growing up years. Interaction with police at times can certainly be a challenge. It can be intimidating. It can certainly be a positive experience depending on what's going on. But obviously, in this particular situation, a young man was killed. He was unarmed. He may have, obviously from the video that we've seen, may have stolen some items. Prosecutor McCullough, out of the grand jury tonight, said that he had punched the police officer. But I did not hear an explanation as to why, after either on purpose or accidentally, shots being fired by the officer while he was in the car after allegedly Michael Brown, according to the prosecutor, punched him. There still appears to be no explanation as to why the police officer, out of his car, confronted essentially by Michael Brown, who there is no dispute had no weapon, why Officer Wilson shot him at least 10 times. I heard no explanation about that. There seems to be no explanation for that. And that is a very, very serious element to this entire tragedy. People in Ferguson, the governor earlier, I've been watching the different news accounts all night, flipping through a couple of different channels prior to and during Prosecutor McCullough's extensive explanation from the grand jury and subsequent news accounts, including watching President Obama. The prosecutor laid out what the grand jury did, what they found, what they didn't find. But it is still troubling to understand, after the governor laid out, after the county exec laid out, that people in Ferguson clearly, under our Constitution, have a right to protest. President Obama, of course, and others, and I did as well, in the previous statement, said that protesters should protest peacefully. And then we see on television tear gas canisters being fired, an assemblage of law enforcement clearly prepared and, if not anticipating, possibly even provoking by their presence and their activities, the kind of mayhem in the streets of Ferguson, with tear gas canisters being fired all over the place. The handling of this entire incident, in my opinion, from the shooting to leaving Michael Brown's body in the street for 4.5 hours, through last Friday, when it was announced that, well, the grand jury may make a decision somewhere in the course of the next few days, leaving people in Ferguson, and quite frankly, probably most across the United States of America, in a certain state of alert and agitation and readiness. To then decide to announce an incredible decision like this at 9 o'clock at night. they have botched this entire tragedy so badly from start to finish that it has left, obviously, the folks in Ferguson beyond disappointed, and I would say for myself, just disgusted with how this entire matter has been handled. That now we see the kind of violence in the streets for which there is no excuse, violence against individuals or violence with regard to property, looting, damage to businesses that have nothing to do with the tragedy involving Michael Brown, with looting of stores, and I guess the most recent thing I saw was protesters going into the store where Michael Brown supposedly, or by video, stole cigars. I mean, all of this kind of stuff raises a ton of questions. Again, the president talked about, let's deal with some of the circumstances and conditions in that city, which are quite frankly pertinent in many other cities across the United States of America. Parents have called for nonviolent protests, which we support certainly here, and I acknowledge that we've had protests here this evening in Philadelphia, peaceful in nature. Acknowledge many young leaders, clergy leaders, a variety of other leaders who are working with those who wish to protest, and we are certainly, I want to acknowledge the fact that we've worked hard on the law enforcement side to certainly be prepared for whatever the verdict might be. But I have to acknowledge certainly that people said and told us that they wanted to protest, that they wanted to peacefully protest, and they did in fact peacefully protest, and that needs to be acknowledged as well. And so, and there may be others in the next few days, and again, all we can ask is that folks exercise their constitutional right to protest, that if you do so in a peaceful manner, do not hurt another person or damage any property. And, you know, it's painful to watch what's going on. The images that we see on television, if you just